Hey guys, this is the Therapist Gamer here, and today we're going to be taking a look at gaming and depression, the good, the bad, and the ugly. This is the first in a three-part series regarding gaming and depression and how they relate to one another. Gamers that struggle with depression have been a focus of mine for the last several years. Seems like in the last about 10 years or so, the number of people that I have worked with in my private practice that have dealt with depression and the symptoms of depression, particularly in young adults, are often avid gamers. More often than not, they're avid gamers. And this is one of the relationships that I've noticed over the years. This video is about the good side of gaming in terms of dealing with depression. And the question that I really want to tackle today is, does gaming offer any benefits for those struggling with depression? And I think the answer to that question is a resounding yes. Gaming offers several benefits for those that struggle with depression, and I want to talk about what those benefits are. The first big benefit that gaming offers to those that struggle with depression is the idea that it increases our accessibility to ongoing social interactions. One of the common symptoms that accompany depression is a desire to withdraw from social interactions. So one of the things that you'll often find with clients that are struggling with depression is that they've started to isolate themselves. They started to escape from socialization. They've started to isolate themselves from their friends and their family. They've started to isolate themselves at work to minimize social interactions with other people around them. And one of the things that happens is that gaming offers a way for them to continue to interact socially, but do it on a more safe level. It keeps the interactions in a safer place for that person because the person maintains a large degree of control over those social interactions. So we can determine when and where we interact. We can determine the format of our interactions. We can determine who we're interacting with. We can choose to not interact if we desire. The second benefit that gaming offers is an idea of an escape. Escape is a huge benefit for people struggling with depression. One of the things that happens is that when we experience a stress in our life, whether it's depression or circumstantial or any other significant stress, we have two basic choices at that point. We can either attack the stress and deal with it and hope that it leaves us alone, or we can avoid the stress and withdraw from it and hope that we can avoid it long enough for it to become less of a stress. Attack and avoid are very important coping skills for us. And when we're experiencing depression or depressive symptoms, we're going to go into survival mode. And one of the things that we do to survive is we try to avoid situations that might exacerbate our depressive symptoms, that might make us feel worse. So gaming can offer a really effective way to avoid stressful, depressing situations. The other thing that it allows us to do is that it offers a distraction. So we're still dealing with escape and avoidance, but it's more the distracting kind. One of the things that happens when a person experiences depression is they start to experience a negative thought process. And this negative thought process is a self-reinforcing process. We start to think negatively, and therefore we start to experience negative emotions. And as a result of the negative emotions, we start to utilize the coping skills to avoid the negative emotions, and the avoidance coping skills cause us to think negatively, and it's a cycle that we get caught in that snowballs on itself and builds itself up over time. But one of the things that allows us to escape, at least temporarily, from that negative thought process is a distraction. Gaming is an amazing distraction because it offers us some ongoing stimulation, but at the same time, it takes our attention and focus away from those negative thoughts that we might be having. It also allows us a distraction from emotional pain. It's incredibly painful for a person to go through depressive symptoms, depressive feelings, and depressive emotions. And one of the things that gaming offers us is a way to avoid those depressive emotions, at least for a temporary time. Because if we're focused on the game and the tasks in the game, we're not as focused as we normally would be on the emotional pain that we might be feeling, on the loneliness, on the sadness, on the anxiety, on the worry. We just can't focus on those two things at the same time. So we're getting positive kind of stimulation from the game, and that positive kind of stimulation overrides the emotional pain that we might be feeling. A third benefit that gaming offers is a measure of control over life that is often feeling very much out of control. Gamers that are struggling with depression often feel like no matter what they do, things just don't work out well, or things just don't work out for them, or no matter what they do, they don't feel any different. And this is a very powerless feeling. It's a place of despair and hopelessness. We feel very much out of control when we feel those feelings. One of the ways that we can feel at least some temporary control over our world and our surroundings is to put ourselves into a world and surroundings in which we do have a lot of control. And gaming is a highly effective way to do that. So we put ourselves into the game world, and suddenly we become very much in control over the situation or the things that are happening to us. We can deal with the stresses that might be happening in the game. We can deal with the negative situations that might be happening in the game, and we very much feel a sense of power and control. Goal-directedness is another benefit that comes from gaming. Goal-directedness is an idea that I am working towards a goal, and I'm working towards a purpose. One of the things that happens when we feel depression is we start to take ourselves out of the process of working towards specific goals and working for specific purposes. We do things just to avoid rather than do things to promote growth and development. So gaming counteracts this to a certain extent. When we're in a game, oftentimes there's a goal that we're working towards, and the entire purpose of the game is to accomplish whatever that goal or goals might be. Mental stimulation is another benefit that comes from gaming. Mental stimulation is important to our emotional health because it allows us to feel like we're alive. If we can, throw ourselves into a mental or a cognitive problem and work through it, we have a sense of accomplishment, we have a sense of purpose, there's that goal-directedness idea again. All that comes from mental stimulation, and games often provide a very strong sense of mental stimulation. So one of the things that I often suggest for my clients that are struggling with depression is to look for those games that offer more stimulation, because they're probably going to get a bigger benefit from those games. The final benefit that I've noticed that comes from gaming is the idea that it curbs our less healthy cravings. Oftentimes when we get depressed, we start to feel cravings for less healthy activities, things like food and sex and drugs or alcohol. All those things are vital things to our happiness and satisfaction in life, but just like with most everything else, if we overdo it, we become less satisfied and happy with life. And it's especially easy to overdo those things during times of depression. So what gaming does is it distracts us from those cravings that we might feel towards food or sex or drugs and alcohol. So I think as everyone can see, gaming offers some very, very important benefits that come from participating in that activity, particularly when we're depressed. one of the things that I want to take a look at next time is the bad side. There's some negative repercussions that come from gaming, particularly during those times when we're feeling depression. And we'll take a look at some of those negative repercussions next time. That'll be part 2 of Gaming and Depression, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I hope to see everyone again next week. I look forward to hearing your comments and hearing any suggestions you might have for future topics. Please subscribe, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and I hope to talk to you again soon. Thanks a lot. This has been The Therapist Gamer. Goodbye.